In 986 CE, a storm tore through Iceland's volcanic plains, unearthing a runestone on Raven's Hill that whispered of Bjorn the far-traveled, a Viking who sailed beyond the world's edge to a land of endless green Vinland. As Thora the Skald deciphers its runes, her clan is gripped by a saga of ambition, betrayal, and Odin's unyielding gaze, urging them to chase glory or face divine wrath. Was Bjorn's lost voyage a path to honor or a curse woven by Loki's deceit? Before we sail deeper into this saga, take a moment to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. The Norse world is full of forgotten stories, and this is just one carved in the runestones of time. If you crave epic Viking sagas, mysterious discoveries from the feuds, and the stories the Skalds dared not tell, stay with us, because this tale will pull you into the mists of Midgard itself. The wind howled across the volcanic plains of Iceland in 986 CE, tearing at the turf-roofed longhouses of Hrafnshóll with a fury that seemed born of Thor's hammer. Rain lashed the barley field, and the air, thick with sea salt and the faint sulfur of distant hot springs, stung the faces of the clan as they huddled within, the hearth's pine smoke curling like a dragon's breath. A storm, fiercer than any in living memory, had ravaged the farmstead perched on Raven's Hill, uprooting a forgotten cairn near the field's edge and revealing a weathered runestone, its carvings worn but sharp under the lightning's fleeting glare. Thora the Skald, her auburn braids damp and eyes alight with a poet's hunger, knelt before the stone, tracing its runes with calloused fingers, her voice a low chant as she deciphered the tale of Bjorn the far-traveled, their ancestor, who sailed west to a land of endless green and never returned. In the longhouse, the clan gathered, their shadows dancing on walls hung with shields. As Thora's words sparked a fire of debate, did Bjorn's lost saga shame their kin, or was it a call to glory? Eirik the Young, his green eyes blazing with ambition, pounded a fist on the oaken table, urging a voyage to chase the rune's promise, his voice drowning out Thorvald the blacksmith's gruff warnings of cursed paths and broken oaths. Sigrid the Völva, her silver hair glinting like moonlight, sat silent, her vision clouded by a flame that speaks, a warning from the gods that tightened her grip on her staff, carved with Freya's runes. As the debate grew heated, a raven landed on the roof, its piercing cry cutting through the storm's roar, silencing the room, an omen of Odin's gaze, watching, judging. Thora's heart raced, her love for saga craft urging her to champion the runestone's truth. Yet her superstition whispered of doom in its cryptic lines. Flame speaks, shadow walks, kin falls. Eirik saw only fame, his father's shame. A spur to action, while Thorvald's weathered hands clenched, fearing the god's wrath. Sigrid's unease deepened, her devotion to the old gods anchoring her against the storm's chaos. Yet the raven's cry echoed in her bones, a sign that the saga of Hrafnshóll was only beginning, its threads woven with ancestral secrets and divine tests that could either forge their legend or unravel their kin forever. The storm's wrath had faded, leaving Hrafnshóll's windswept hill cloaked in a damp mist that clung to the cloaks of the clan as they gathered for the thing, their boots sinking into the volcanic soil still slick from the night's deluge. The runestone, now propped against a boulder, loomed like a silent judge, its carvings of Bjorn's lost voyage glinting faintly under a gray sky, while the distant crash of waves against black cliffs echoed the tension in the air. Thora the Skald stood tall, her voice rising in a skaldic verse that wove Bjorn's tale with Odin's wanderlust. Her kennings, Whale Road Seeker and Skyfire's Dreamer, swaying the hearts of some, their nods warming her. Despite the chill, those skeptics among the elders narrowed their eyes, wary of her passion for a shamed ancestor. Eirik the Young, his axe at his belt, stepped forward, his voice raw with fervor, as he argued for a voyage to chase the rune's promise of Vinland, his words clashing with Thorvald's gruff plea for caution. The blacksmith's weathered face, taut with fear that ambition would fracture their kin, their bond strained as Eirik's fist tightened in defiance. A rival chieftain, Halfdan, his braided beard flecked with frost, sneered from the crowd, accusing Bjorn of cowardice for abandoning his clan, demanding the stone be shattered to bury the shame, his words stoking murmurs of doubt that cut Thora deeper than any blade. Sigrid the Völva, her staff planted firmly, stepped into the circle, sprinkling blood from a sacrificed ram across the runestone, her chant invoking Freya's guidance as the scent of iron mingled with the briny breeze, her ritual silencing Halfdan's scorn, but drawing the sharp gaze of a Christian missionary, his cross gleaming as he muttered of the White Christ's mercy and pagan folly. Thora's eloquence earned nods from younger warriors, but the elders' distrust isolated her heart torn between Saga craft and the clan's fragile unity. Eirik's brashness widened the rift with Thorvald, who valued kinship above glory, while Sigrid's authority grew, her blood offering a beacon of the old god's power, though the missionaries' whispers sowed seeds of doubt among the wavering. As the thing drew to a close, the clan's voices rose, a tide of resolve, carrying them to a verdict. They would sail west, following the runestones' clues to Vinland, a decision that set the quest in motion, deepening the mystery of Bjorn's fate, conbinding their saga to the god's unyielding gaze, while the wind carried Halfdan's parting growl, a promise of vengeance yet to come. The longhouse at Hrafnshóll was heavy with the scent of burning herbs and pine smoke, the flickering hearth casting shadows that danced like spirits across the timber walls. As Sigrid the Völva prepared her sea ritual under the weight of the clan's restless gaze, the thing's verdict still echoed in their minds. The decision to sail west, binding them to the runestone's cryptic promise, but doubt lingered like the chill seeping through the turf roof. Sigrid, her silver hair braided with raven feathers, stood on a raised platform, her staff tapping rhythmically as she chanted to Freya and Odin, her voice a low hum that wove through the smoke, calling the gods to unveil the runestone's truth. Her vision came sharp and sudden, a shadow that walks, betraying Bjorn the far-traveled, his crew torn apart under strange stars, an accursed artifact glowing with an eerie light, its hum a whisper of Loki's deceit. The clan, seated on benches strewn with furs, leaned forward, their breaths held as Sigrid's eyes fluttered, her words faltering with the weight of the god's warning, while Thora the Skald clutched her carved horn, her reverence for the runes clashing with Gudrun, the trader's sharp proposal to fund the voyage for profit, her eyes gleaming with visions of amber and furs from Vinland's shores. Eirik the Young, his arms crossed, scoffed at Sigrid's vision as fear born of old women's tales, yet the tug of Odin's will stirred in his chest, his ambition warring with the chill of her words. A Christian missionary, his robe stark against the longhouse's earth tones, burst through the door, his voice cutting through the ritual's haze to warn of demonic trickery, his cross raised like a shield against Sigrid's pagan chants, drawing gasps and glares from the clan. Sigrid's visions solidified her as the clan's spiritual anchor, but guilt gnawed at her, the fear of leading kin to doom heavy as her staff. Gudrun's pragmatism sparked tension with Thora, who saw the runes as sacred, not emergence. Map, Eirik's dismissal masked a growing pull toward the god's path, his defiance softening under the weight of the unseen. As the missionary's warnings faded into the crackle of the hearth, Sigrid's cryptic vision of a shadow's betrayal and a glowing curse clarified the runestones' warnings, binding the clan tighter to their perilous quest, the Longhouses. Smoky air thick with the promise of a saga, woven from divine will and mortal courage, as the distant howl of the wind whispered of the trials awaiting them on the whale road to Vinland. The Longhouses' smoky haze still clung to the clan's cloaks as dawn broke over Hrafnshóll, the air sharp with the tang of sea salt and the distant clang of Thorvald's forge. But the fragile unity forged by Sigrid's vision was shattered by the bleeding cries of panic from the barley field's edge. Halfdan's clan, emboldened by the runestone's revelation of Bjorn's shame, had struck in the night, ambushing Hrafnshóll's shepherds and stealing a dozen sheep, their thieves carving insults into a boundary stone runes branding Bjorn. A coward and his kin weak, the jagged marks glinting mockingly in the morning frost. Eirik the Young, his blood hot with the sting of dishonor, rallied a band of warriors and led a retaliatory skirmish at dawn, his axe flashing as he wounded Halfdan's son in a clash near the Black Cliffs, the youth's blood staining the volcanic soil, a reckless act that won cheers from his allies, but darkened Thorvald's weathered face. The blacksmith's hammer, pausing as he feared Eirik's impulsiveness, would unravel their clan before the voyage could begin. In the Longhouse, Thora the Skald wove a biting verse shaming Halfdan's breed, her words sharp as a blade's edge, sung to the rhythm of Thorvald's forge as he crafted new axes for defense, her skaldic voice rallying the clan but earning Halfdan's vow of vengeance, whispered on the wind. Gudrun the traitor, her eyes calculating as she fingered an amber bead, stepped into the fray, negotiating a tense truce with Halfdan's kin by offering a share of her trade goods, her cunning, saving the clan from immediate war, but sowing distrust among those who prized honor over compromise. Eirik's brashness strengthened his bond with younger warriors, their fists raised in loyalty, but strained his tie with Thorvald, who saw the feud as a threat to the kinship he held dear, his gruff warnings unheeded as Eirik's ambition burned. Brighter, Thora's verse, though powerful, painted a target on her back, her devotion to sagacraft blinding her to the enemies it birthed. Gudrun's truce, while pragmatic, sparked murmurs of weakness, her silver tongue a double-edged sword, in a clan bound by Viking pride. As the boundary stone's insults loomed like a curse, the feud's shadow complicated the clan's preparations for Vinland, the runestone's promise of glory now tangled with the threat of bloodshed at home, each warrior's gaze torn between the whale road's call and the honor demanded by a vengeance culture that could either forge their saga or break it. The harbor at Hrafnshóll gleamed under a pale dawn, the dragon-prowed longships bobbing gently on the whale road, their sails furled but taut with the promise of Vinland. As the clan gathered for a blot to appease Njord and Thor, the air sharp, with sea brine and the faint sulfur of distant hot springs. The feud with Halfdan's kin still simmered, its insults carved into memory as sharply as the boundary stone, but the clan's resolve to chase the runestone saga pushed them to the water's edge, where Sigrid the Völva led the ritual. Her staff raised as she chanted to Njord, her voice weaving through the crash of waves, while warriors slit a stallion's throat, its blood splashing across the longship's prows, a crimson prayer for safe passage. A raven swooped low, dropping a fishbone at Sigrid's feet, an ambiguous omen that stilled her chant and deepened her faith in the gods, though its shadow stirred unease in her heart, a whisper of fate's unyielding grip. Thora the Skald stepped forward, her voice clear as she recited a saga of Leif Eriksson's voyages. Her kennings, Wave Rider and Storm's Foe, igniting the crew's courage, her words binding the clan closer and earning a rare nod from Eirik the Young, his brash heart stirred by her craft. Gudrun the trader, her cloak heavy with the weight of bartered wealth, secured timber for the voyage by bribing a rival with amber and furs, her cunning ensuring the ship's readiness, but drawing wary glances from those who mistrusted her motives. Thorvald the blacksmith, his hands calloused from forging the fleet's iron fittings, watched with pride as his craftsmanship gleamed, yet his gaze lingered on Eirik, fear for the young warrior's safety tightening his chest, their bond strained by the lad's reckless fire. Sigrid's deepened faith clashed with the raven's omen, her resolve to guide the clan tempered by the gods' cryptic signs. Thora's saga craft wove unity, her voice a beacon, while Gudrun's pragmatism fueled the voyage but sowed seeds of doubt. As the blood-soaked prows glistened under a fleeting sun, a blot sealed the clan's commitment to Vinland, the runestones' promise of glory now laced with suspense, the fishbone's shadow hinting at a doomed path that echoed Norse tales of destiny, binding their saga to the gods' will as the longship stood ready to carve through the whale road's wrath. The whale road roared with fury as Hrafnshóll's two longships carved through the Atlantic's churning waves, their dragon prows slicing the foam under a sky bruised with storm clouds, the air thick with salt and the sting of sleet in 986 CE, testing the clan's endurance as they sailed west toward Vinland's promise, guided only by stars and the lingering power of Sigrid's blot. A fierce storm descended, its winds howling like Fenrir's breath, tossing the ships as timbers groaned and sails strained. Eirik the Young, his cloak sodden, leapt to save a crewman swept overboard, hauling him back with a grip as fierce as his ambition, earning the man's sworn loyalty and shouts of praise from the crew. Though Thorvald the blacksmith's stern gaze, fixed from the helm, warned of recklessness, their bond fraying as Eirik's heroism fueled his confidence. Sigrid the Völva, clinging to the mast, spotted a whale's corpse bobbing in the tumult, circled by ravens whose cries pierced the gale, her heart seizing as she whispered of Loki's warning, her fear of the trickster god's hand deepening. Though Gudrun the trader, rationing dwindling bread and dried fish with a scowl, dismissed the omen as superstition, her skepticism clashing with Sigrid's faith as she barked orders to preserve supplies. Thora the Skald, her voice rising over the storm's din, sang a saga of Thor, battling the Midgard serpent, her kennings, Wavebreaker, and Skyfire's foe, calming the crew's frayed nerves, her heart swelling with attachment. To these weathered faces, their trust in her words, a new anchor in the chaos. Eirik's bold act strengthened his standing, but widened the rift with Thorvald, who valued caution over glory, his hands gripping the oar as he muttered of Bjorn's doomed path. Sigrid's growing dread of Loki tied the runestone's curse tighter to Norse mythology, while Gudrun's practical focus kept the crew fed, but sowed tension with the Vivia's warnings. Thora's songs, woven with ancestral echoes, bound the clan to Bjorn's legacy, Yet the storm's wrath and the raven's cries deepened the voyage's peril, each wave a test of their resolve to chase the runestone's promise, the artifact's shadow looming larger as the whale road stretched. Toward the unknown, its secrets guarded by the gods' unyielding will. The storm's fury had relented, leaving Hrafnshóll's longships battered but intact as they glided into the icy harbor of Brattahlíð, Greenland's rugged outpost in 986 CE, where jagged peaks loomed over sparse turf-roofed dwellings, the air biting with frost and the faint tang of smoked fish. The clan, weary from the whale road's wrath, sought timber and dried cod to sustain their voyage to Vinland, but Greenland's Norse settlers, hardened by Eirik the Red's legacy, guarded their resources with a miser's grip. Olaf, a local chieftain with a grizzled beard and eyes like chipped flint, greeted them on the rocky shore, demanding a share of Vinland's rumored riches for his aid, his voice dripping with greed that set Eirik the Young's jaw tight, his temper flaring as he shoved one of Olaf's men during a heated barter, the clash nearly sparking a feud until Thorvald the blacksmith's calm hand on Eirik's shoulder steadied him, their bond rekindling as Thorvald's gruff counsel urged patience. Thora the Skald, drawn to a weathered runestone near Brattahlíð's Thingstead, deciphered its faded carvings, her fingers tracing hints of Born's crew splitting over a cursed artifact, her obsession with his saga deepening, though her sharp words to Sigrid, questioning the Viviva's visions, strained their once close tie. Sigrid, her silver hair catching the pale sun, saw a vision of a flame that speaks, flickering under alien skies, her words unnerving the crew as they huddled around a driftwood fire, her staff trembling in her grip. Gudrun the trader, her cloak heavy with furs, bartered skillfully with Olaf's kin, trading pelts for supplies, her cunning winning allies, but sowing distrust among those who saw her smile as too swift, too sharp. Eirik's pride isolated him, his clash with Olaf's men earning glares, though Thorvald's steady presence anchored him, their shared glances mending old rifts. Thora's rune reading fueled her drive to unravel Bjorn's fate, but her dismissal of Sigrid's visions widened their rift, while Sigrid's ominous words tied the artifact tighter to Loki's shadow. Gudrun's deals ensured the voyage's survival, yet her ambition stirred whispers of betrayal. As the clan loaded timber onto the longships under Greenland's cold gaze, the runestone's clues deepened the mystery of Bjorn's doom, Olaf's greed and Eirik's temper threatening the clan's fragile unity, each step toward Vinland binding. Their saga tighter to the tensions of Viking trade and the gods' unyielding will. The longships of Hrafnshóll scraped onto Vinland's pebbled shore in 986 CE, their dragon prows kissing a new world where towering pines stretched toward a sky unmarred by Iceland's volcanic haze, the air rich with the scent of resin and a salmon-filled river that gurgled like a skald's verse, its waters glinting under a sun that felt both foreign and divine. The clan, their boots sinking into the damp earth, stood in awe of this uncharted frontier, the runestone's promise of endless green, now a reality that quickened their pulses, though the weight of Greenland's cold counsel and the whale road's trials lingered in their weary bones. Eirik the Young, his chest swelling with triumph, carved a rune of Thor's hammer into a pine's bark, claiming Vinland for Hrafnshóll, his axis strokes bold, but drawing Sigrid's sharp gaze, her caution whispering of unseen spirits. She clutched a Skræling arrowhead found half buried in the sand, its sharp edge pricking her thumb and stirring visions of a shadow that walks nearby, her unease deepening with the land's strange pulse. Thora the Skald, her eyes bright with wonder, began a skaldic verse for Vinland. Her kennings, green sea's cradle, and sky fire's haven, weaving awe into words that bound the clan's hearts, though her reverence clashed with Gudrun the trader's sharp survey of the land, her fingers tallying furs and timber for profit, her pragmatism grating against the crew's hushed worship of this mythic shore. A strange hum, low and pulsing, echoed from the forest depths, chilling the air and stilling the clan's chatter, its source unseen, but tied to the runestones' cryptic warnings. Eirik's bold claim fueled his ambition, his heart set on glory, yet Sigrid's warning tempered his fire, her fear of Vinland's spirits rooting deeper as the arrowhead's weight grew in her palm. Thora's verse, a tapestry of hope and reverence, drew the crew closer, but Gudrun's cold calculations sparked murmurs of discord, her eyes blind to the land's sacred pulse. The act of claiming Vinland restored the clan's pride, erasing Bjorn's shame, yet the hum and Sigrid's omens hinted at a defiance of the gods, echoing Norse tales of explorers tempting fate. As the clan set camp by the river, the forest's hum grew louder, shifting the runestones' mystery to a new stage, the artifact's presence a shadow that intensified suspense, binding their saga to Vinland's untamed heart and the gods' watchful gaze. The Vinland camp at Hrafnshóll's riverbank hummed with the clan's quiet labor, the scent of pine and roasting salmon mingling with the sea's distant town. As dawn painted the towering forest gold in 986 CE, but the fragile awe of their new world shattered when a band of Skrælings emerged from the trees, their deerskin cloaks soft against the morning mist, offering woven baskets of fish, yet gripping their boughs with wary eyes fixed on the Vikings' iron blades. Eirik the Young, eager to prove his worth after claiming the land, stepped forward with a grin, offering a polished axe as a gift, its edge gleaming, but the Skrælings flinched, their murmurs rising like a storm's prelude, his brash gesture misread as a threat, sparking tension that tightened the air until Sigrid the Völva, her silver hair catching the sun, glided between them, offering a bone carved with Freya's runes, her calm voice and steady hands soothing the exchange, the Skrælings' leader nodding as he accepted it, his eyes lingering on her staff. Gudrun the trader, quick to seize opportunity, bartered bolts of woolen cloth for sleek furs, her smile sharp as she noted Skræling carving swirling patterns etched on bone that echoed Norse runes, her ambition flaring at the promise of trade. Roots, though her heart stirred with unease at their uncanny familiarity. Thora the Skald, standing by the fire, froze as the strange hum from the forest pulsed louder, its rhythm syncing with the Skræling's soft chants, her unease deepening as she sensed the artifact's shadow weaving through this meeting. Eirik's misstep humbled him, his cheeks burning as he leaned on Sigrid's wisdom, their bond strengthening under her steady gaze, though her diplomacy revealed a deeper fear that the Skrælings knew the artifact's secret, their guarded glances hinting at a shared lore. Gudrun's trade sharpened her hunger for power, but the rune-like carvings unsettled her calculations, while Thora's growing dread tied the hum to the runestones' warnings, her skaldic heart torn between awe and fear. The Skræling spirituality, with chants that echoed Norse rituals yet spoke of unfamiliar spirits, challenged the clan's faith in Odin and Freya, hinting at a mythic thread binding their worlds to the artifact's curse. As the Skrælings vanished into the forest, their fish baskets left behind, the encounter deepened the artifact's stakes. the hum's pulse, and the rune-like carvings suggesting a shared saga that escalated cultural tensions, binding Hrafnshólls. Fate tighter to Vinland's mysteries and the gods' enigmatic will. The Vinland forest loomed dense and silent around Hrafnshóll's camp in 986 CE, its towering pines casting shadows that seemed to pulse with the strange hum that had haunted the clan since their Skrælings encounter, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and the river's faint gurgle, as if the land itself held its breath. Eirik the Young, his axe slung across his back, ventured deeper into the woods, drawn by a faint glow among twisted roots, where he uncovered a rune-covered stone in a Skrælings shrine, its surface smooth as sea glass, faintly glowing and humming. With an energy that prickled his skin, its eerie pulse echoing the runestones' warnings from Iceland. Thora the Skald, summoned by his shout, knelt beside it, her fingers trembling as she traced carvings that spoke of Loki's flame that speaks, her fascination with the saga blinding her to the danger, her voice soft with awe as she linked the relic to Bjorn's lost fate, though her objectivity wavered under its hypnotic pull. Sigrid the Völva, her staff clutched tight, warned against touching it, her voice sharp with fear of a curse, woven by the trickster god, her vision of a shadow that walks, isolating her as the crew's eyes turned to Eirik, who, defiant and hungry for glory, claimed the relic with a bold grip, its hum flaring erratically as he raised it high. Gudrun the trader, her eyes gleaming like polished amber, saw trade value in its unearthly glow, whispering of foreign kings who'd pay fortunes, her greed surfacing despite Sigrid's warnings, while Thorvald the blacksmith, hefting the stone, sensed a weight heavier than forged iron, his caution deepening his role as the clan's protector, his gaze fixed on Eirik's reckless hands. Eirik's ambition, burning brighter with the relic's power, strained his bond with Sigrid, her pleas drowned by his dreams of fame, while Thora's fascination drew her deeper into the saga, risking her clarity as a skald. Sigrid's fear of Loki's curse isolated her further, her warnings unheeded, and Gudrun's greed sparked murmurs of distrust among the crew. Thorvald's steady presence anchored the clan, yet his heart ached for Eirik's safety. The relics, discovery, pulsing with Norse myths of doomed choices, tempted the clan to defy its curse, its erratic hum tying it to Loki's shadow and deepening the mystery's supernatural stakes, each vibration a step toward glory or doom as the forest seemed to close in, whispering of the gods' unyielding judgment. The Vinland camp flickered under the glow of a ritual fire in 986 CE, its flames licking the night air as Hrafnshóll's clan gathered, the dense forest's hum now a restless pulse that seemed to stir the very pines, their shadows swaying like specters across the riverbank's damp earth. Sigrid the Völva, her face etched with resolve, kindled the fire with sacred herbs, their sharp scent mingling with the river's cool breath, and placed the rune-covered relic at its edge, its faint glow flaring as the hum surged, casting serpentine shadows that writhed across the ground. A sight that stilled the clan's breath and deepened Sigrid's vision. She saw Bjorn's crew, faces twisted in greed, fighting over the relic until flames consumed them, their screams echoing under alien stars, a warning of ancestral doom that strengthened her resolve but chilled her heart. Eirik the Young, his arms crossed, scoffed at her vision, dismissing it as fear spun by firelight, though Thorvald's quiet doubt, his weathered hand resting on Eirik's shoulder, tempered the young warrior's defiance, their bond a fragile anchor against the relic's pull. A Skrælings scout, half hidden in the trees, watched with narrowed eyes, his gestures sharp with warnings that mirrored Sigrid's fear, his presence unnoticed by all but her, deepening her dread that the relics' curse bound their fates to this land's spirits. Thora the Skald, her voice trembling, wove a new kenning flamed serpent into her saga, her poetry a battleground where her faith in Odin wavered against the relic's power, her words binding the clan's awe, but faltering as she questioned. The gods' will. Gudrun the traitor, her fingers tracing a hidden pouch, planned to hide the relic for leverage, her secrecy weaving a web of distrust as she whispered of trading it to distant kings, her ambition clashing with the clan's reverence. Sigrid's vision, vivid with Bjorn's failure, alienated Eirik, his defiance growing as he clutched his axe, while Torvald's steady presence checked his recklessness, their shared glances a silent plea for unity. Thora's wavering faith poured into her verse, deepened her role as the clan's voice, yet Gudrun's secretive plotting strained the trust that held Hrafnshóll together. The relic's fiery vision clarified Bjorn's doom, its serpentine shadows tying his failure to the clan's flaws, heightening suspense around the curse as the Skrælings' unseen warnings echoed Norse fears of divine retribution, each flame a thread in a saga poised between ancestral legacy and the gods' unyielding judgment. The Vinland camp, nestled against the salmon-rich river in 986 CE, was taut with unease as dawn broke, the forest's hum now a faint tremor beneath the pines. But the flickering embers of Sigurd's ritual fire still cast a glow over Hrafnshóll's clan, their faces hardened by the relic's ominous vision of Born's fiery doom. A band of Skrælings, their deerskin cloaks adorned with bone beads, emerged from the morning mist, their leader's voice firm as he demanded the return of the rune-covered relic, his gestures sharp with reverence for its sacred power, his words translated through halting signs that spoke of spirits bound to the stone. Eirik the Young, his pride stung by their claim, gripped the relic tighter, his refusal sharp as his axe's edge, sparking a skirmish as arrows flew and blades clashed, the air thick with the scent of pine and blood. Torvald the blacksmith, his forge-strong arms wielding an axe, shielded Eirik from a Skræling spear, his loyalty saving the young warrior, but deepening their bond as Eirik's recklessness cost him the crew's trust, their murmurs of doubt rising like the rivers. Churn. A Skræling arrow grazed Gudrun the traitor's arm, its sting humbling her ambition as she clutched the wound, her eyes wide with the pain of her first true vulnerability. Sigrid the Völva, her staff raised like a beacon, stepped into the fray, offering a stolen Skræling carving bone etched with swirling patterns back to their leader, her calm diplomacy forging a tense truce as the Skrælings lowered their bows, their eyes still wary. Thora the Skald, her heart pounding, noted the relic's hum quieting during the clash, as if the stone itself recoiled from bloodshed, her observation sharpening her rune reading as she whispered of Loki's hand in the silence. Eirik's rash defiance strained the clan's faith in him, but Torvald's steadfast protection mended their tie, his gruff nod a promise of kinship. Gudrun's injury softened her sharp edges, her greed tempered by the brush with mortality, while Sigrid's diplomacy elevated her as the clan's moral anchor, her wisdom a light in the chaos. Thora's keen insight into the relic's silence deepened her role as saga keeper, her unease tying the stone's power to the skirmish's cost. The clash, born of cultural misunderstanding, tested Viking pride against the pragmatic need for peace, The Skrælings reverence for the relic weaving their lore into Hrafnshóll's saga, deepening the artifact's mystery and heightening the clan's peril as the forest seemed to watch, its silence heavy with the god's judgment and the fragile truce's uncertain promise. The Vinland camp, nestled under the looming pines in 986 CE, thrummed with tension as night fell, the relic's faint hum weaving through the river's soft murmur, its glow casting restless shadows across Hrafnshóll's makeshift longhouse. Where the clan gathered, their hearts heavy with the Skræling clash and the relic's curse. Thora the Skald, her eyes fixed on the rune-covered stone, deciphered a chilling carving, a rune whispering of a shadow that walks. A traitor who betrayed Bjorn's crew, her obsession with his saga deepening as she spoke, her voice fervent. But isolating her from the crew, their wary glances cutting sharper than any blade. Sigrid the Völva, her sleep haunted by Vinland's strange pulse, dreamt of a cloaked figure slipping through the camp, sabotaging their stores, her vision of treachery tightening her grip on her staff, her fear of Loki's deceit growing as she shared it, her words met with uneasy silence. Eirik the Young, still stung by the skirmish's cost, accused Gudrun the traitor of hiding the relic for her own gain, his voice booming in the longhouse, pointing to her bandaged arm as proof of her deceit, sparking a fierce debate that fractured the clan. Gudrun's sharp retort, defending her loyalty but straining their bond, her eyes betraying a flicker of guilt. Thorvald the blacksmith, stoking his forge's embers, found a carved warning on a beam, a rune, eerily like Halfdan's mark from Iceland, its jagged lines rekindling memories of their blood feud, his loyalty to Eirik steadfast, but his heart heavy with suspicion of enemies within and without. Thora's fixation on the saga distanced her from Sigrid, whose dream of betrayal fueled paranoia, her warnings dismissed by some as mere visions. Eirik's accusations against Gudrun deepened the clan's divide, her defense a blend of truth and cunning that left trust frayed. Sigrid's fear isolated her, her vision tying the relic to Loki's shadow, while Thorvald's discovery of the rune stoked old wounds, binding the clan's present strife to Bjorn's ancient betrayal. A traitor's shadow, etched in runes and dreams, linked Bjorn's doom to Hrafnshóll's unraveling unity, escalating their internal conflict as the longhouse's shadows danced, each flicker a whisper of Norse tales of betrayal, the saga, teetering between kinship and ambition under the gods' unyielding gaze. The Vinland night in 986 CE blazed with the northern lights, their shimmering veils of green and violet dancing across the alien sky, casting an ethereal glow over Hrafnshóll's camp by the salmon-rich river where the clan's longhouse stood. Tense with the traitor's shadow, the relics hum a restless pulse that seemed to echo the heavens' fire. Sigrid the Völva, her silver hair aglow under the sky fire, led a seer ritual by the camp's heart, her staff raised as she chanted to Odin and Freya, the air thick with herb smoke and the forest's damp breath, her vision piercing the veil. To reveal Bjorn the far-traveled hiding the relic in a cave, his face etched with fear as kin betrayed him. A truth that strengthened her resolve but deepened her isolation as Eirik the Young, his arms crossed, scoffed at her trance, his skepticism, a wall against her warnings. The relic, placed near the ritual fire, hummed in sync with the northern lights, its eerie pulse unnerving Eirik, his doubt wavering as the glow reflected in his green eyes, stirring a flicker of Odin's pull despite his defiance. Thora the Skald, her heart lifted by the sky's splendor, wove a new verse into her saga, Her kenning, Skyfire's call, binding the clan's awe to their shared fate. Her words deepening their trust in her as their voice, her bond with them. A steady flame amid the camp's discord. Gudrun the traitor, her bandaged arm a dull ache, proposed trading the relic to the Skrælings for lasting peace. Her pragmatism sparking murmurs of dissent among those who revered its power. Her plan revealing a merchant's heart blind to the god's will. Sigrid's vision, vivid with Bjorn's betrayal, anchored her as the clan's spiritual guide, yet Eirik's dismissal widened their rift, his wavering doubt a crack in his brash armor. Thora's verse, pulsing with the light's mystique, strengthened her role as Saga keeper, while Gudrun's proposal, though cunning, clashed with the clan's pagan reverence, her pragmatism a spark in the powder keg of their division. The Northern Lights, seen as Odin's gaze in Norse belief, reinforced the old god's power against the Christian doubts lingering from Iceland, tying the relic's hum to divine will, as Sigrid's vision pinpointed its hiding place, pushing Hrafnshóll toward a climactic search, the saga's threads tightening with each pulse of the Skyfire, a god's judgment looming over Vinland's untamed heart. The Vinland wilderness in 986 CE pressed close around Hrafnshóll's clan as they trekked deeper into the forest. The northern light's fading glow replaced by a damp mist that clung to their cloaks, the relic's hum guiding them to a cave, mouth marked by weathered runes, its dark maw a liminal threshold where the air grew heavy with the scent of moss and stone, as if the gods themselves whispered from its depths. Sigrid's vision of Bjorn's betrayal still hung over the clan, urging them onward, and within the cave, the relic's hum echoed off jagged walls, amplifying its eerie pulse as Eirik the Young, his torch casting flickering shadows, uncovered a splintered shield carved with a scene of treachery, men turning blades on their own kin, its craftsmanship unmistakably Bjorn's, fueling Eirik's drive for glory as he clutched it, though Sigrid's sharp warning of Loki's presence, her staff trembling as she sensed the trickster's shadow, tempered his fire, her eyes scanning the dark for unseen threats. Thora the Skald, her fingers brushing the cave's rune-etched walls, deciphered a name: Arvid, Bjorn's brother, the traitor who doomed his voyage, her reading deepening her saga's weight, her voice soft with awe as she wove the betrayal into her verse, though the truth of her ancestors' shame shook her heart. Gudrun the traitor, her bandaged arm stiff, pocketed a Skræling bead glinting in the torchlight, hiding it with a glance that betrayed her growing secrecy, her mind racing with plans to leverage the relic's power. Thorvald the blacksmith, his axe at the ready, stood close to Eirik, his loyalty a steady rock as he scanned the cave's shadows, their bond strengthened by shared peril, despite his unease at the relic's hum. Eirik's discovery stoked his ambition, but Sigrid's caution planted seeds of doubt, pulling him back from recklessness. Thora's reading of Arvid's betrayal deepened her role as saga keeper, yet the weight of her lineage's flaws pressed heavy, while Gudrun's hidden act widened the rift of trust, her secrecy a growing shadow. Thorvald's steadfast presence anchored Eirik, his protective gaze a silent vow. The cave, a mythic space like those in the Eddas, revealed Bjorn's fate as a tale of betrayal, forcing Hrafnshóll to question their ancestral legacy, the relic's hum a pulsing reminder of the saga's motifs as it set the stage for the artifacts. Final test, the clan's path teetering between glory and doom under the gods' watchful eyes. The Vinland camp in 986 CE lay heavy with the weight of the cave's revelations. the relic's hum pulsing through the damp air as Hrafnshóll's clan gathered in their makeshift longhouse, the flickering firelight casting shadows that seemed to mirror the betrayal of Bjorn's brother Arvid, etched into the shield and runes. Eirik the Young, his green eyes fierce with ambition, clutched the rune-covered relic and demanded it be brought back to Iceland, its glowing promise of glory, a fire in his heart that he swore would burnish Hrafnshóll's name, his voice drowning out Sigrid the Völva's urgent plea to destroy it, her staff trembling as she warned of Loki's curse, her fear of the trickster's wrath, isolating her as the crew turned from her trembling gaze. Gudrun the traitor, her bandaged arm a dull ache, proposed trading the relic to the Skrælings for peace and profit, her pragmatic words sparking Thora the Skald's anger, her loyalty to Norse tradition flaring as she denounced the idea as a betrayal of their saga, her kenning starstone shame cutting the air like a blade. Thorvald the blacksmith, his hands still gritty from the cave stone, found the Skræling bead Gudrun had hidden, its glint in her pouch confirming his suspicions of betrayal, his doubt straining their bond as he confronted her with a low growl, his loyalty to Eirik anchoring him amidst the growing rift. A raven circled the camp, its ominous call slicing through the night, its wings a dark echo of Odin's gaze, deepening Sigrid's dread as she clutched her runes, sensing the gods' judgment. Eirik's ambition, burning brighter with the relic's glow, widened the chasm with Sigrid, her warnings dismissed as fear, while Thora's fierce defense of tradition clashed with Gudrun's cold calculations, her verse a shield for the clans. Honor but a spark in their division. Thorvald's discovery of the bead turned his trust in Gudrun to ash, his protective gaze fixed on Eirik, while Sigrid's growing fear of Loki's hand left her a lone sentinel of the old gods. The relic's power, pulsing with the promise of glory or doom, fractured Hrafnshóll's unity, echoing Viking sagas where ambition tore at kinship's bonds. The raven's cry heralding a climactic decision as the clan stood divided, the artifacts, stakes deepening with each shadowed glance, their saga poised on the edge of fate's unyielding blade. The Vinland camp, cloaked in the damp chill of dawn in 986 CE, buzzed with the relic's restless hum, its glow casting faint light across Hrafnshóll's longhouse, where the clan's division over the artifact's fate simmered like embers. Under ash, the air thick with the scent of pine and the river's soft breath. A Skræling elder, his deerskin robe adorned with bone beads, approached under a truce flag, his weathered voice weaving a tale through halting gestures and shared words of a sky stone that fell from the heavens, humming with spirits and, guarded by their shamans, its power neither good nor evil, but bound to the land's heartbeat, a story that stilled the clan's restless murmurs. Thora the Skald, her eyes bright with insight, noted parallels to Loki's trickery in Norse tales, her respect for the Skrælings' lore deepening as she wove their story into her saga, her kenning, star-fallen flame, bridging their worlds, though her heart wrestled with the relic's mythic weight. Sigrid the Völva, her staff steady for the first time in days, sensed the relic's power as neutral, not cursed, its hum a reflection of belief rather than Loki's malice. Her fear easing as she shared this shift, her voice calm but firm, drawing nods from some, but skepticism from others. Eirik the Young, his temper softened by the elder's tale, offered a carved wooden rune as a gesture of peace, his diplomacy a new spark that earned the Skrælings' nod and the crew's cautious approval, though his ambition still flickered. beneath his softened gaze. Gudrun the traitor, her fingers brushing the hidden Skrælings bead, plotted to steal the relic for trade. Her whispered plan to slip it to distant merchants, isolating her as she stood apart, her eyes darting to avoid Thorvald's watchful stare. Thora's growing respect for the Skrælings spirituality enriched her saga, binding her closer to the clan, while Sigrid's newfound clarity eased her dread, her wisdom a beacon in the camp's tension. Eirik's shift toward diplomacy marked his growth, though his pride lingered, and Gudrun's secret scheme deepened her isolation, her ambition a shadow against the clan's fragile unity. The Skrælings' tale of the Sky Stone reframed the relic as a bridge between Norse and native beliefs, challenging the clan's faith in the old gods against Christian whispers from Iceland, pushing Hrafnshóll toward a moral choice honor. The relic's shared spirituality, or wield it for glory, as the saga's stakes deepened, the forests hum a quiet pulse of the gods' enigmatic will. The firelight flickered in the Vinland camp, casting jagged shadows as Thorvald's heavy steps broke the tense silence, his calloused hand clutching a rune-covered bead he'd found hidden in Gudrun's satchel. The clan's eyes turned to Gudrun, her face pale but defiant, as Thorvald growled that she'd planned to trade the humming relic to the Skrælings for safe passage and profit, echoing the treachery of Bjorn's brother, Arvid, carved in the cave's runes. Eirik's hand flew to his axe, his voice thundering with betrayal, accusing Gudrun of shaming their kin and defying Odin's will. His rage a mirror of the blood feuds that scarred their Icelandic home in 986 CE. Sigrid stepped forward, her Viviva's staff raised, her calm words invoking Freya's mercy and urging the clan to seek unity over vengeance, her silver eyes locking with Eirik's to temper his fire. Thora, her skald's voice steady, wove a verse of Loki's deceit, her kennings, serpent's tongue, and kin's false blade, calming the clan's fury by framing Gudrun's act as a test from the trickster god, though her heart raced with fear of further fractures. Gudrun, cornered, admitted her plan, her voice low but unyielding, claiming she sought to protect the clan from the relic's curse and secure their return to Hrafnshóll. Yet her words rang hollow against the weight of her secrecy. As the argument swelled, the relic, resting on a nearby stone, pulsed with an erratic hum, a crack splitting one of its runes as if Loki himself stirred within, silencing the clan with its ominous warning. The betrayal laid bare the relic's danger, binding the clan's fate to a final choice under Vinland's alien stars, where honor and shame hung in a fragile balance, and the saga's end loomed like a storm on the Whale Road. The northern lights blazed over Vinland's dark forest, their ethereal dance, a call from the gods that drew the clan to a rune-carved altar beneath the skyfire, where Sigrid the Völva prepared a sea ritual to confront the relic's truth. In 986 CE, her chants to Odin and Freya rose with the smoke of burning juniper, her hands placing the humming relic, a meteorite etched with runes on the altar, its eerie glow pulsing in rhythm with the lights above, as if the heavens judged their worth. Sigrid's vision unveiled the relic's nature, a sky stone, neutral yet alive with the power of belief, twisted by Loki's trickery into a curse that consumed Bjorn's crew through greed and betrayal. Its flame that speaks, a warning of ambition's cost. Eirik, his ambition tempered by Gudrun's treachery, voted to destroy the relic, his voice firm with newfound maturity, choosing the clan's survival over personal glory. Thora, torn between her skald's dream of a saga immortalizing the relic. And her loyalty to kin reluctantly agreed to its destruction, her fingers tracing the runes one last time as she whispered a kenning skystone's doom to seal its fate. Gudrun, humbled by her exposure, argued to trade it to the Skrælings for peace, her pragmatism clashing with the clan's resolve, her voice cracking with the weight of her shame. Thorvald, his stoic gaze fixed on Eirik, cast the deciding vote to shatter the relic, his blacksmith's heart seeing its power as a forge too wild to tame, his loyalty to the clan outweighing his doubts. As Sigurd's chant peaked, Eirik raised his axe, the clan's breath held under the sky fire, their choice to defy the relic's curse, a bold claim of free will against the gods' woven fate, setting the stage for a saga's end that would echo across the Whale Road. The relic shattered under Eirik's axe, its hum fading into Vinland's night like a sigh from the gods, the fragments of the sky stone glinting one last time under the northern lights before the clan of Hrafnshóll turned their faces homeward. In 986 CE, their longships cut through the Whale Road, braving a final storm that tested their will, but the stars guided them true, a sign of Odin's grudging approval as they sailed back to Iceland's volcanic shores. In the mead hall of Hrafnshóll, warmed by hearth and fellowship, Thora's skaldic voice rose above the clink of horns, her saga of Vinland weaving kennings of endless green, flame serpent, and sky fire's truth, immortalizing the clan's journey and cleansing Bjorn's shame with a tale of courage and unity. Eirik, now called West Warden by his kin, stood taller, his honor restored not by glory, but by his choice to protect his people, his bond with Thorvald, forged anew in the fires of their trials. Sigrid, her Viva's eyes serene, saw a raven soar above the hall, its cry a blessing from Odin, her faith in the old gods vindicated against the whispers of the white Christ that haunted Iceland's shores. Gudrun, her ambition chastened, vowed to rebuild trust, her cunning now bent toward strengthening the clan, her hands offering mead to Thorvald in a quiet gesture of amends. Thorvald, his blacksmith's heart steady, carved a new runestone for Hrafnshóll, its runes telling of Vinland's discovery and the relic's doom, a legacy for their kin to carry into the shifting tides of faith and time. The saga's end bound, the clan in a shared triumph, their journey across the Whale Road a testament to honor reclaimed, fate defied, and a lineage rewritten under the gods' watchful gaze, their names destined to echo in the halls of Norse history.